On the Business Courier front page this week, a fascinating story about a group of children who grew up and made a big difference. In the centerpiece story, how street cred became an economic driver, or maybe it was just something in the water. They were babies born in 1946, children who grew up on 3 North Avondale streets and were in the same class at North Avondale Elementary School. Teenagers who were part of the Walnut Hills High School class of 1964. Adults who became some of the most successful, high-achieving Cincinnatians in the city's history. Those 3 streets produced a 5-time Tony Award-winning Broadway producer, an Oscar-nominated director, a Cincinnati mayor, the conductor of the Metropolitan Opera in New York, a Los Angeles TV production company executive, and an entrepreneur who invented the spin brush toothbrush, not to mention a batch of doctors, lawyers, and university professors. Their achievements put Cincinnati on the national and even international stage, brought plenty of investment dollars to the city, and helped craft their high school's reputation as a stepping stone to achievement and success. Cincinnati would not be the same city if not for these kids from that class in that neighborhood. Business Courier reporter Steve Watkins reported this story and joins Business Watch producer Kelly Leon in the studio with more on who they are.
Thanks, and thanks, Steve, for being here. This story was really, really interesting.
Thanks. Yeah, it's a little different than what we usually do.
Yeah, I was going to say it's not what I typically expect to see in the Business Courier. So, how did it come to be? How did you discover this story?
Well, this is actually a story I've meant to do for probably 3 or 4 years, and I've talked to a few people, local business people. Fred Mayerson is one, and Rick Steiner, he's the 5-time Tony Award winner, and they, over time, had mentioned that they grew up with all these people, they've done business with them, and they had all these amazing achievements, and I kept thinking this would be a great story. I just never was able to get time to do it, and finally I did. It really was interesting once I dug into it, at least to me.
And we mentioned what some of these folks did, but we'll recognize some of these names. Who are some of the people?
Yeah, well, Rick Steiner, as I said, is the 5-time Tony Award winner. Arne Bortz is the former mayor. He grew up with these people. Then there are names that local people might not know as well. Mary Benjamin was nominated for the Academy Award for making documentaries. She lives in Los Angeles now. Julie Waxman was a big TV executive at Lorimar. And the best known of all probably is James Levine. He was a couple years older than these people. He's the conductor and has been for decades of the Metropolitan Opera in New York. He was called the greatest conductor in America. So big names out of a little neighborhood.
Yeah, out of a little neighborhood in North Avondale. Yeah. And they all went to Walnut Hills High School. So why them? Like, why this particular group? What are the factors that bound them all together?
Yeah, it was hard to pin down. A few of them had some pretty good hypotheses, though. Rick Steiner talked a lot about them being born right after World War II. They were born in 1946, so they were the first baby boomers. There was a lot of attention paid to that group throughout the years. And they all grew up in a Jewish neighborhood. Almost all of them had Jewish parents, and they all talked about having 2-parent families. Education was focused on a lot, and also because a lot of them were pretty big achievers, even at younger ages, they pushed each other. They had a lot of competition, and they said it's friendly competition, but it really helped them achieve a lot.
Are they still close?
They are, yeah. It's amazing how many of them still keep in touch, and they'll call each other like Ricky Steiner and Johnny Osher. Johnny Osher I left out before. He invented Spin Brush, which is the best-selling toothbrush of all time. He sold to Procter & Gamble, but they call him by their names that they used when they were 10.
That's awesome. Well, you've got to read the story. It's very, very interesting. So, Steve, thanks for being here this morning.
Sure, and thank you.
Back to you.
Yeah, incredible story. Thanks, Kelly.